I thought we were saving for our dream house, but it turned out I was funding my wife's honeymoon with another man. While I worked 2 jobs to keep us afloat, she was forging my signature on loan documents behind my back. Today is their wedding, and I didn't come to raise a toast. I came to take back my money and their freedom. The first thing I noticed was the flowers. White roses, hundreds of them. The room smelled cold. Expensive flowers always do. Sweet for a second, then almost chemical underneath. Air conditioning drifted across the ballroom and lifted the ribbons tied to the chairs. I was standing 30 feet away from my wife. Sarah looked straight through me. Not because she didn't recognize me. Because according to everyone in that room, I wasn't supposed to be there. I remember staring at the giant screen behind the stage. A slideshow was playing. Vacation photos. Restaurant pictures. Beach pictures. Sarah smiling beside a man named Alex. Then another image appeared, and my stomach dropped. Because I had taken that photo. Not of them. Of Sarah. 3 years earlier. The same dress. Same smile. Same lake house. Only Alex had been edited into the picture where I used to be. That wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was the wedding invoice sitting in my jacket pocket. Paid entirely with loans under my name. And at that moment I still believed I understood what was happening. I thought my wife had stolen from me to marry another man. I was wrong. 5 years with Sarah felt predictable in a good way. I was an architect in Denver. Long hours. Structural projects. Office coffee that always smelled burned by noon. Sarah worked freelance from home. Design work mostly. Marketing contracts. Social media management. I handled income. She handled money. That arrangement felt normal because she was organized. Spreadsheets. Budget folders. Color-coded calendars. We were saving for a house outside the city. Nothing extravagant. Just trees. Quiet mornings. A backyard. The first thing that felt wrong happened on a Tuesday. Fluorescent lights buzzed above me at an electronics store while I tried financing a laptop for work. The employee looked uncomfortable. Not suspicious. Just confused. He glanced at the screen twice. My credit score had collapsed. I remember laughing because I thought there had been a mistake. Driving home, I could smell rain through the vents. Wet pavement. Traffic lights reflecting red across the windshield. I kept thinking about numbers. Credit scores don't collapse overnight. At home, Sarah sat at the kitchen island working on her laptop. The refrigerator hummed behind her. She barely looked up. I remember seeing 3 coffee cups beside her. Only 2 of us lived there. I noticed it, then forgot about it. I pulled my credit report the next morning. 3 loans. 2 personal. 1 business loan. Total debt. $287,000. My hands actually went cold. Electronic signatures looked like mine. Addresses were mine. Phone numbers were mine. Everything was mine. Except I hadn't signed any of it. I started checking statements. At first I thought identity theft. Then I saw spending patterns. Luxury catering. Event deposits. Floral arrangements. Venue reservations. Jewelry purchases. There was one transaction that stayed in my head. A payment to a bridal boutique. I stared at it for almost a minute. Sarah and I had been married 5 years. I remember hearing the air conditioner running overhead while I sat in my office. Low mechanical noise. No movement. No thoughts. Just that sound. That night, Sarah fell asleep on the couch. Her phone vibrated beside her. Once. Then again. The screen lit up. I wasn't trying to invade her privacy. I just looked. Delivery confirmation. Wedding dress arriving Friday. I felt heat rise into my chest. Then another detail. The preview image showed an order name. Not Sarah Collins. Sarah Harper. Harper was her maiden name. My wife was ordering a wedding dress under her old name. I waited until she went upstairs. Then I checked her browser history. Wedding planners. Venue maps. Guest lists. A folder named A+A. And a seating arrangement. Bride, Sarah Harper. Groom, Alex Mercer. I sat in darkness listening to floorboards creak above me. I remember thinking something stupid. I remember wondering who Alex was before wondering why my wife was getting married. Everything fit? Too perfectly. Affair. Secret relationship. Hidden wedding. Debt under my name. I hired a private investigator. 3 days later, I had photographs. Sarah entering restaurants with Alex. Sarah leaving hotels. Sarah holding his hand. Sarah laughing. There was relief in seeing it. Relief sounds strange. But confusion is heavier than pain. Pain at least has shape. I thought I understood reality. I even found the wedding invitation. Heavy white paper. Embossed lettering. Venue outside Boulder. Saturday. Tomorrow. I took everything to a lawyer. The office smelled like paper and stale coffee. He reviewed documents for almost an hour. Then he looked at me differently. Not sympathy. Concern. Because Sarah had needed more than passwords. She had used biometric authorization from my banking app. Face verification. Identity confirmation. Everything. Which meant one thing. She had access while I slept. Or while I wasn't aware. I left believing I finally understood the story. Sarah was cheating. Sarah was stealing. Sarah had built another life. Then my lawyer called me back 20 minutes later. He had noticed something odd. One loan application had been submitted from my phone. At 2:14 a.m. I had been in Chicago that night. Hotel records proved it. But my phone location showed I was home. I remember stopping in the parking garage. Concrete walls. Cold air. My own footsteps echoing. Because suddenly one question replaced every other question. Who had my phone? I started reviewing everything. Photos. Locations. Cloud backups. Security footage from our house. I wasn't looking for Sarah anymore. I was looking for time. Tiny gaps. Missing pieces. Then I found something. Front door camera footage from 6 months earlier. 2:11 a.m. Sarah walking outside. Then walking back inside. Alone. 3 minutes later the front door opened again. No one visible. Door opening by itself. Then closing. I watched it 7 times. Then I realized the camera angle never showed the side entrance. Someone had entered through the garage. Someone who knew our security blind spots. I pulled archived GPS data from our cars. Sarah's car wasn't near several places where the investigator photographed her. Mine was. I zoomed in on one photo. Sarah and Alex leaving a hotel. Reflection in hotel glass. Parked across the street was my truck. I had never been there. I checked older photos. Same thing. My truck. Different places. Different dates. Then I found deleted files buried in cloud storage. Spreadsheets. Guest lists. Budgets. Contracts. Everything linked to Alex and Sarah. Except Alex wasn't paying for anything. Sarah wasn't paying either. The authorized contact on nearly every document was me. My phone number. My email. My signatures. My approvals. I couldn't breathe for a few seconds. Because I realized something I had missed. Sarah wasn't hiding an affair from me. Someone was building evidence that she was. I went to the wedding anyway. I needed to see Alex. Needed to understand who he was. The ceremony had already started. Cold air moved through the ballroom. Silverware clicked softly somewhere behind me. Then I saw him. Alex looked familiar. Not immediately. Just enough to make my skin tighten. I sat down and kept staring. Then I remembered. 2 years earlier. Corporate fundraiser. Real estate investors. Alex had been there. Only his last name wasn't Mercer. It was Carter. He worked for a financial consulting firm. A company I had hired briefly after my father died. The same company that handled estate restructuring. The same company that had access to every financial document I owned. That was the first twist. Alex wasn't Sarah's secret lover. He was part of a fraud operation. They targeted married couples. Identity layering. Debt transfers. Asset movement. Staged evidence. Sarah had discovered it months earlier. She had been gathering proof. The wedding wasn't real. Guests weren't guests. Half of them were investigators. The ceremony itself was a setup. Sarah looked at me when I entered. Not surprised. Just tired. Then the second twist arrived. Because investigators later showed me the final evidence. Video recovered from my phone. Dozens of recordings. Months of them. Night recordings, bathroom mirror reflections, kitchen counters, living room corners. I watched myself moving through my own house, half asleep, taking pictures of documents, approving biometric requests, forwarding financial records, opening doors. I had no memory of any of it. Then I saw prescription records, 6 months earlier, after a car accident. Medication for sleep disturbances. Medication that caused parasomnia episodes. Sarah knew. Doctors knew. I didn't. Alex's group had figured it out. They manipulated me through scheduled notifications and conditioned routines. They turned my own unconscious behavior into access. Sarah hadn't been hiding things from me. She'd been hiding the investigation. Because if I knew, I would unknowingly warn them. I still think about one thing. Sarah never looked afraid at that wedding. Just exhausted. Because for 6 months, I thought I was hunting my wife. I was the door they had been using.